What makes a horror film a masterpiece? To me, a great horror film is one made by Stanley Kubrick. Kubrick's films, regardless of the genre, make you feel like you're part of a treasure hunt, and he does well at concealing the clues you need to figure out where the treasure lies. I think this is the case with Kubrick's most prolific horror film, The Shining. One of Kubrick's strategies to set his gaze is the emphasis on the normal family. The questions that are asked by the doctor in the beginning, whenever Wendy and Danny are interacting, especially after Danny's premonition, kind of makes the audience focus on the story of, the alcoholic father, the stay-at-home mother, the child seeking attention. We can take a look at Freud's theory of the uncanny, which is basically an experience that reminds us of our early unpleasant and kind of horrific psychic stages. So Freud described it as belonging to all that is terrible, to all that arouses dread and creeping horror, which is kind of what the film does, is that it creeps up on you. Supernatural elements often connect us to fantasy, right? So that then makes us connect to imaginary. So then we create imaginary fantasy. To exemplify this, Kubrick focuses on the senses, definitely, like I said, and he focuses this effort into sound, specifically in the form of music. We can start to kind of dismember Jack's insanity and how he starts getting there. We'd see him just running around, bouncing a ball, doing nothing, solo shots of the typewriter itself on the desk. Then we see this kind of pivotal scene where we see his demeanor change, and that's when Wendy comes in and interrupts him. And he gets like super pissed off, super angry at her, and he specifically says that what he wants is to be left alone to do his writing. So this kind of is the first moment where we click and we say this is his first desire. More specifically, because of the fact that he specifies the want.
Finish my work.
Because this speaks to his id, because that's exactly what the id does. It controls our wants, our needs, our desires. But there is a big difference psychoanalytically between need and desire. Where's the ego? So the ego is manifested as the spirit of Lloyd in the bar when he appears after he specifically says, I would do anything to have a drink. I would sell my God bleep soul for a drink.
Anything for a drink. Hi, Lloyd.
Lloyd kind of fuels Jack's ego because, Jack kind of starts coming up with his like crazy smile where we can see him speaking directly to a mirror. Now we get to Jack's third desire and his third interaction with the ghost. And this is his interaction with the old hag, as I've always, referred to her as, in room 237. So the young woman coming out of the bathtub at first, right? So this is kind of like a metaphor that Kubrick is trying to convey, that this is the way that Jack used to see Wendy. Second connection that we can make is that Jack is once again facing a mirror. He's parallel to the woman as he's kissing her, but he's also facing the mirror, and that's where we can see the reveal that she's actually old and decaying. So the way in which Kubrick reveals Jack's desires and this kind of gradual interaction, with person after person or ghost after ghost, is his way of kind of moving through the symbolic and imaginary order. So according to Jacques Lacan, the imaginary is the order of what we see. The symbolic order is the structure supporting and regulating the visible world.
You were the caretaker here.
The third and final encounter is with Delbert Grady, the murderous caretaker from the winter of 1970. This interaction is actually Jack talking to his superego.
I've always been here.
I've always been here, that Grady tells Jack in that little part. And this kind of, tells us that Jack's, rational mind, his superego has always been there. It's just being taken over by the fact that he's, giving into more of his desires, more to his id and ego. Jack's jouissance, or real enjoyment, can only be attained by doing away with his family, which is, essentially the obstacle. So Jack has completely given into his real enjoyment by giving into his imaginary fantasies, his symbolic desire. One might say that, our connection to Jack and the fact that, he goes into this blood rage is exactly what kind of makes us slightly root for him in the end, and then just seeing him frozen kind of in a way makes us feel that sense of not getting what we want. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed my little film essay here on The Shining.